Hubby handed me a cup of coffee with a suspiciously strange aroma. "Made you a special brew, love," he said with a grin. I smiled sweetly and replied, "How thoughtful," while casually switching cups with my sister-in-law, the one who never missed a chance to bully me. The morning light was just breaking through the curtains, casting a soft glow over our kitchen, when Mark handed me a cup of coffee with a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Made you a special coffee, honey," he said, his voice laced with an odd excitement. I took the cup, the aroma hitting me with an unfamiliar tang, a scent that hinted at secrets and lies. My heart fluttered with a mix of anticipation and dread. As I brought the cup to my lips, I couldn't shake the feeling that this coffee was more than just a morning brew. It was a test, or perhaps a trap. And then, the taste. It was like nothing I had ever experienced before. What was Mark hiding? And why did this coffee taste like betrayal? The morning sun filtered through the sheer curtains, casting a warm glow over the kitchen where I stood, my mind still half asleep. My name is Emma, and I'm 28 years old. I live in a quaint suburban house with my husband, Mark, and his sister, Laura, who moved in with us a few months ago after her divorce. Mark, a software engineer, is always tinkering with gadgets, while Laura, once a marketing executive, now spends her days critiquing everyone around her, especially me. Today, like every morning, the aroma of coffee filled our kitchen. But this morning, something was different. As I walked in, Mark handed me a cup of coffee with a grin. "Made you a special coffee, honey," he said, his eyes twinkling with an unusual excitement. The coffee had an oddly pungent smell, unlike any brew I had ever tasted. I smiled, thanked him, and casually switched cups with Laura, who was sitting at the breakfast table, her usual sneer, barely hidden behind her coffee mug. What could possibly be in this coffee that Mark was so eager for me to drink? The moment the cup touched my lips, the taste was unexpected. Not just the bitterness of a strong roast, but something else. Something that made my stomach churn. I watched Laura take a sip from the cup I had given her, her expression shifting from disdain to confusion. Mark's grin widened, his eyes locked on me, waiting for a reaction. But why? What was this concoction he was so thrilled about? My heart began to race, not just from the caffeine, but from a sudden, unsettling suspicion. Laura, meanwhile, seemed to be grappling with something else entirely. Her eyes darted between Mark and me, a silent question hanging in the air. Mark, still oblivious to the tension, continued his cheerful morning routine, setting the table with an extra flourish. "I've got a surprise for you today, Emma," he said, his voice a mix of excitement and nervousness. The peculiar taste in my mouth was now accompanied by a growing unease. What kind of surprise could Mark have planned, and why did it involve this peculiar coffee? My mind raced through possibilities, each more unsettling than the last. I tried to keep my composure, setting the cup down gently. "What kind of surprise? Mark?" I asked, my voice steady despite the storm of thoughts inside me. He paused, his hands hovering over the plates, his grin faltering for a moment. "Well, you know how I've been working on that new project at the lab? I thought it'd be fun to test it out on you first. It's a new kind of energy booster, supposed to give you a real kickstart to the day." My heart skipped a beat. An energy booster? That explained the medicinal taste, but why the secrecy? Why not just tell me outright? Laura, now looking more alarmed than confused, pushed her cup away. "You didn't tell me about this, Mark," she said sharply, her usual disdain replaced by genuine concern. Mark's face fell slightly, the excitement dimming. I wanted it to be a surprise. I thought it would be fun, a little experiment between us. But maybe I should have..." I cut him off, my voice firm. "Mark, you can't just experiment on people without their consent. That's not how you show love or care," I said, my voice rising with a mix of anger and disbelief. The silence that followed was thick, almost suffocating. Laura's face had turned ashen, her usual sharp tongue silenced by the gravity of the situation. Mark's eyes darted around, looking for an escape from the confrontation he had unwittingly started. As we sat down for breakfast, The atmosphere was tense. Laura's usual snide comments were absent, replaced by a forced silence. I watched her closely, noticing her face growing paler by the minute. Suddenly, she excused herself, her chair scraping against the floor as she rushed to the bathroom. Mark's face drained of color as he heard her retching. "That was meant for you," he stammered, his eyes wide with panic. I took a sip from my untouched coffee, the taste now familiar, and smiled. "What exactly was in it?" I asked, my voice calm but firm. Mark hesitated, his hands trembling. It was supposed to be a laxative," he confessed, his voice barely above a whisper. "I thought it would be funny, a prank to lighten the mood around here." My mind reeled. A laxative? Was this his idea of a surprise? The implications were disturbing, not just the act itself, but what it suggested about his judgment, about us. Leaned forward, my eyes locked on his. "Mark, this isn't just about a prank. This is about trust, about respect. You've crossed a line here, and I'm not sure how we can come back from this." Laura returned, her face flushed and her eyes red. She looked at Mark with a mix of betrayal and disgust. "You thought this was funny? After everything I've been through, you thought making me sick would lighten the mood?" Her voice trembled, the pain of her recent divorce making her words cut deeper. Mark's head dropped, his usual confidence shattered. I didn't think it through. I just wanted to, I don't know, make things less tense. I'm sorry, Emma, Laura. I messed up." The revelation hung in the air like a thick fog. Laura returned, her face flushed and angry. "What did you do, Mark?" she demanded, her voice echoing through the house. Mark, now cornered, explained his misguided attempt at humor, how he thought a laxative would be a harmless way to break the tension that had been building between Laura and me. He hadn't anticipated the switch, nor the severity of Laura's reaction. I stood up, my heart racing, but my mind clear. "Mark, this isn't just about a prank, it's about trust, and clearly there's none here." Laura, still reeling from the ordeal, looked at me with a mix of confusion and newfound respect. "Emma, I didn't know," she said, her voice softening. The room felt like it was closing in, the walls echoing with the weight of our unspoken grievances. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my voice. "Laura, we need to talk about this. About everything. Not just today, but the past few months." Laura nodded, her eyes still red but now filled with a resolve I hadn't seen before. "Yes, we do. I've been harsh, I know. But I've been dealing with so much, and I guess I took it out on you." Mark, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him, interjected. I thought if I could make you laugh, maybe we could all start over. But I see now, it was a terrible idea." I turned to him, my voice firm yet tinged with sadness. "Mark, your intentions might have been good, but your actions were thoughtless. We can't just erase the hurt with a prank." Laura sat down, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "I've been so caught up in my own pain, I didn't see how it was affecting everyone else. Emma, I'm sorry for how I've treated you." The air seemed to lighten a bit as apologies were exchanged. I felt a shift, a chance for something new to grow from the ruins of our misunderstandings. "We all need to start being honest with each other," I said. The room was silent, the only sound being the ticking of the kitchen clock. The room was silent, the only sound being the ticking of the kitchen clock. I walked over to the coffee maker, where the remnants of the morning's brew still sat. "Mark, if this was just a prank, why did you look so scared when Laura got sick?" I asked, my voice steady. Mark's eyes darted around, avoiding mine. I didn't think it would be that strong," he admitted. "I might have mixed up the doses." Laura, now fully aware of the gravity of the situation, stepped forward. "Mark, you could have seriously hurt someone. This isn't just about a prank gone wrong, it's about your judgment." I turned to face them both, my decision made. "Mark, I think it's best if you stay somewhere else for a while. We need space to think about what this means for us." The weight of my words hung heavy in the air. Mark's face fell, his usual bravado replaced by a look of defeat. "I understand," he said, quietly, his voice barely above a whisper. He gathered his things, his movements slow, as if each step was a reluctant retreat from the life we had built together. Laura watched him, her expression a mix of relief and sadness. She had been through so much already, and this morning's ordeal had only added to her burden. "I'm sorry, Emma," she said, her voice softer than I'd ever heard it. "I've been so wrapped up in my own world, I didn't see how my actions were affecting you." I nodded, feeling the tension in the room begin to dissipate. "We all need to start being honest with each other," I reiterated, my voice firm but kind. "This isn't just about today. It's about all the days we've let misunderstandings and unspoken feelings build up." Mark paused at the door, his hand on the knob. "I'll go to my parents' place for now," he said, looking back at us. "I need to think about what I've done, what I've put you both through." As he left, the door closing with a soft click, the silence returned. But it was different. The house felt quieter after Mark left, his absence filling the space with an eerie silence. Laura and I sat at the kitchen table, the coffee cups now, cold and forgotten. "I owe you an apology, Emma," Laura said, her voice sincere. "I've been harsh and I didn't realize how much tension I was adding to this household." I nodded, accepting her apology. "We all make mistakes, Laura. But this was a wake-up call. We need to rebuild trust, not just between Mark and me, but all of us." As the day turned into evening, I reflected on the morning's events. The coffee, the switch, the revelation. It was all a catalyst for change. Mark would need to prove himself trustworthy again, and Laura and I had a chance to start anew, perhaps even as allies. The future seemed uncertain, yet filled with possibilities. Mark's departure left a void, but also an opportunity for Laura and me to redefine our relationship. We had been at odds for so long, our interactions laced with passive aggression and silent judgments. Now, with the house quieter, it felt like the air was clearing, allowing us to see each other more clearly. "I've been thinking," Laura began, her voice hesitant yet hopeful. "Maybe we could use this time to really talk, to understand each other better. I've been so caught up in my own pain I didn't see how it was affecting you." I looked at her, seeing the sincerity in her eyes. "I'd like that, Laura. We've both been through a lot, and maybe we can help each other heal." The evening stretched on, and we talked, really talked for the first time in months. We shared stories of our pasts, our fears, and our hopes. Laura spoke of her divorce, the sense of failure it brought, and how she had projected that onto me. I shared my frustrations with Mark's increasing distance, his focus on work over our relationship, and how his prank had felt like a betrayal of the trust we had. As the night deepened, our conversation turned to the future. "What do you think will happen with Mark?" Laura asked, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.